Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at another kids RC car. With Christmas, it's starting to, it's around the corner. Some of you guys are going to be looking for some of these RC cars that are more for kids. And so this time of the year, I like to take a look at some more of the low-cost kids stuff that I probably normally wouldn't take a look at other times of the year on my channel. So this is going to be kind of a dirty review. Very quick here. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, kind of like how I used to do it years ago with my head cam. Just give you a real quick overview. Everything comes with it, and then we'll get it out in the garage and drive around. Because this is a 360 drift car, so it comes with your regular plastic wheels. So let me show you the car. Here is the car. It has these slick plastic wheels, and you can also put on some rubber ones if you want to drive it on a more textured surface where you want more traction than on these slicks. You get some cones, so we're going to put those out in the garage. There's only 4 of them. You kind of just do a little track in the garage driving around, trying to do a little bit of drifting. And it has some LED lights in here that are kind of cool, so that's also a neat little added touch with this little car. And you can see it, they mentioned it has a top speed of 14 kilometers per hour, so you do it miles per hour, you're probably looking at less than 10. It's not very fast. It does say it's 4-wheel drive, which that's a little bit less desirable for a drift car. You'd want a drift car to ideally be just rear-wheel drive, so you can do drifts around the cones. But again, this is not very fast, so it may not make much of a difference. There's your battery compartment. You get 2 of these single lithium-ion packs. Now, I got one of them already charged, and it's inside of the car. There's your USB charger they give you with it. The light comes on, and when the light goes off, that means the battery's charged. And these are 500 milliamp hour single 3.7 volt lithium ion packs. And then you get probably the cheapest toy grade controller I've ever had on any RC car, but it does work. Now, as you probably noticed, this is not proportional, so you have to do your steering trim, and this is extremely easy to move. So much so that I'm not even sure if it really works. We'll have to see. It's something this slow and cheap. The steering trim's not that big of a deal. But yeah, it's just, there's just your little click, click steering, and boy, the throttle, you can finally feel it pressed in there for forward and reverse. And your on and off switch right there next to my thumb. And that's it. There's not much again. But this is really cheap. It's $25 with the 40% off coupon, so it should be somewhere around 15 bucks. For $15, I don't have to have very high expectations for it to be worth $15. So this could be a pretty cool little drift car for a younger kid. So I'm going to take it out in the garage. I'm not going to put the rubber tires on. We're just going to do some drifting on the slick garage floor and see how it works. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, so I have it powered up. You can see the little LED lights flash inside there. And one thing I didn't mention, it actually does have a very small amount of suspension here in the front. There are some springs in there. I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference, but you can see there it actually has some working suspension, which is kind of cool for being so cheap. So let's grab the controller. Let's put it down here on the ground and just see how it works on the relatively slick garage floor. There is a little bit of debris. I didn't sweep it, but this garage floor is pretty slick. So we should be able to get some drifting, I hope. Yeah. Take some practice, Whoa. You get used to the feeling of the car, how much traction it has. Just try to kind of do this kind of oh, it really spun out there. To reverse. Oh, ran into the cone. It's hard to keep it, it's not like it's fast, but you want to do some drifting. Trying to steer it around the cones and knowing when to let up on the throttle and when to steer. It depends, because sometimes it'll work well, and other times it'll just not spin out, not drift much at all. Ideally, like we wanted to go up and try to turn around that cone there. Yeah, see, I turned it there and it didn't really do much of anything. Let's see if we can get up with the lip of the garage. Yeah. Yeah, see, if you try giving it throttle and then you try to turn, it doesn't really do much. You have to really let off the throttle and then you can drift. Let's try it again. If I try to turn, it doesn't really turn. And now there it did, but well, you really have to let up on the throttle. It doesn't turn much. And then you can turn. Now, I notice the steering is definitely pulling. Let's just check that, because that little steering dial is so, see, look at that. It does obviously function. It's so easy to knock out of place that I would say if you get the steering trimmed up, I'd put a piece of Scotch tape over the dial to keep it from getting knocked out of place, because it shouldn't, on this little car, probably need to be adjusted again. Like some of the other bigger cars, the servos get knocked out of place. I don't think that'll happen on this one. Yeah, trying to drift around these cones though is difficult. I just end up hitting them. Not that I'm very good at drifting, but it's just hard because the car's, you know, it's a toy. You got some spiderweb or debris or something dragging on the back of the car right now. But for me, you know, for myself, most kids, the cones are going to be more of a gimmick because they're going to be hard to do with this little car. But just driving around on a kitchen floor, on your linoleum or wooden floor, or your garage floor like this, or the basement floor, a lot of people have a surface like this in the basement. I mean, I do. This is going to be a lot of fun for a 6 to 10-year-old kid to drive around. The drift's actually pretty decent. It's just a little hard to do that steering around the cones. The more I drive it, the better you get at doing that, but I don't think you're ever going to be good at it because it's just a bit unpredictable. Because you kind of want to just be able to drift it around the, whoa, the lip coming in the garage. You have to hit it full speed to have a chance of making it over this little lip. Now I can see the steering is knocked out of place again, so I had to fix it. So yeah, the steering dial definitely is too easy to move. So you're gonna have to tape that if you buy this. But it actually drifts pretty good. It's just not gonna be easy to be able to drift this around the cones. I don't think I've done it right once yet. Oh, hit the cone. Just trying to go around a cone. I either let up like that and go too far, or I drift and end up hitting the cone. Some of that's just not being used to it. Also, another thing too is with the all or nothing steering, you don't have an in between. You know, if you're a fully proportional car, you can give it a little bit of steering, a little bit more, and have a much more precision as you're going around a cone. Plus, you'd probably have just a rear wheel drive. This being all wheel drive and with non-proportional steering, it's really not good for trying to do drift racing, but you can certainly drift on the floor like this, as you guys can see. Again, it's like 15 bucks, so it's certainly not gonna, you can't expect too much for 15 bucks. Okay, I think that's enough. We don't need to keep driving this in circles. You can see the car does function well. I think for $15, it's worth it. If they take away the coupon and it's back up to 25, then I would say probably that's a bit too much. You know, if it was fully proportional, then I think this might be worth that amount, just because you'd be able to steer around the cones and stuff a lot easier. Because the two batteries and the cones and the spare tires, if I would drive that on the driveway now, it would be exactly the same, except for with this regular tires attached. If I drove it out there, it just wouldn't be able to spin out, and it would have better traction, because with these on out there, you're going to still spin out some, even though it's textured, and just not good for driving on surfaces where you don't want it to drift. So that's when you attach other tires. You just take the little Phillips screwdriver, your Phillips screwdriver came with it, and take these wheels off. They do give you 2 AA batteries for the controller that I think you guys saw, but I didn't mention it earlier. So they do, you know, it comes ready to run. You don't have to even provide your own AA batteries. They come with it for the controller. All right, guys, that wraps up this little review of this little toy drift car. If you're interested with it, in this, it'll be a purchase link down in the video description and the pinned comment. As always, guys, you know, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and while you're at it, click the bell. That way you're notified every time I do upload new videos. And as always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.